pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I first would like to welcome Sherry Donahue, who is a new alternate board member appointed by the HART Board of Directors. Sherry, could you tell us just briefly a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born on a cold, windy night. No,
Okay.
I'm a native of Tampa, so you know that's not true. No, I'm a product of schools in Ybor City and grew up in Seminole Heights, and I've been a proud resident of Temple Terrace since 1976, where we raised 4 kids. And I'm a community activist turned elected city official. So,
Well, congratulations, I guess.
so newly appointed to the HART Board.
Well, we're really glad to have you. Also, before we get started, I wanted to mention that there are other new members, but I think I'll wait till they show up to introduce them. But Tom Stork, who is a friend of many in the room, former president of the Florida Aquarium, passed away several weeks ago, and there is a service beginning at 4 o'clock for him today downtown. So I want this meeting to be done by 3:30, so everybody has time to get there. Let's move to approval of minutes, please. You received them in your packet. If you've had a chance to look them over, a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any additions, deletions, or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Public input on agenda items. Anyone in the public would like to speak today? Anyone in the public at all that would like to speak? Seeing none, let's move to the Streetcar System Performance Report. Mr. Bracken. Oh, not Mr. Bracken.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ruthie Reyes-Burke, our Chief Operating Officer for HART. Mr. Bracken is on a very well-earned vacation day today. So the Streetcar report for December, we had a 99.3% of service delivered with just 19 reported missed trips. Usually it's due to some traffic or things that get in our way in terms of missed trips. There were 2 reported late departures with an on-time performance of 99.9%. 2 reported accidents in December. On December 21, Streetcar was involved with another vehicle. And on December 30, Streetcar 433 made contact with a pedestrian at Cumberland Station. I'm happy to report that that person is doing well, as an incident that occurred that was really hard to process. As you know, hitting a pedestrian is very uncomfortable to do, a situation which is serious, but we understand that the person is doing well. Special service, obviously New Year's Eve, brought in some high attendance. There were a number of things impacting our attendance in addition to the holiday. The Ida Vita German cruise ship was in town and cruised and staged overnight at the port. We also had an Amalie Arena event, a hockey game. Who knew, right? You could have all this on New Year's Eve in addition to all of the folks celebrating and welcoming the new year. So we had 5,536 trips for the evening. About 3,300 was about after 7 p.m. where we offered the free trips. And as a component, all of the maintenance and usual services is performed were performed.
I did have a question, and Catherine informed us that pay machines were not functioning. So everybody rode for free for, what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday of that holiday?
They rode for free over the weekend. We have tracked the ridership, and you have that information, Ruthie? Something on that?
I don't have the ridership with me.
Now you do.
Okay, here we go. The free ridership over the weekend was at the following weekend after New Year's due to the college football, just call it that. I don't remember the official name. And so we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday services for free. And so in each day of that service parameter, which started on the 6th, we had 1,074 riders on the Friday, 4,331 on the Saturday, 3,051 on the Sunday, and on the Monday, which is the actual day of the football game, 663. So a number of events in the downtown area were promoted where there were concerts in the Riverfront Park. There were a number of in-towner usage in terms of getting folks connecting from the streetcar, and patrons and persons that were participating in the events were encouraged to park in Ybor by the streetcar over and connect with the in-towner and or the downtowner and get to some of the events downtown.
Okay, and I understood from you that HART was bearing the fare cost.
One of 2 things will happen. So Emmanuel Nunez, not yet, but in a few seconds we'll do an update on what's going on with the TVMs. Our TVMs are at the end of their life.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So we'll get more information there. We had been working since the first week of December to get this issue addressed, knowing that we would have events coming up. I know, not like we can be fast. And so as we sort this out, if it turns out this is an issue the vendor should have addressed, we will seek, we'll look to be made whole from them, applying the average fare back. If it turns out that it's something that it's the end of the useful life, then
So they're
HART
still
will
not
debating
working?
that. We have a program that's getting them updated that Manny's going to give us the updates. So as I understand, it's somewhere between, it's the end of the life, but it should still be useful. So we're
Right.
working with the vendor to keep it running, have that. The judgment call for us was we had a whole bunch of people coming into town that needed to have a good experience.
Oh, yeah.
And to tell them go find some cash.
Oh, it was a nice solution.
Yeah. And ideally, we should not have been in that situation, but we were.
But they're working again now.
Some of them are working and some are not. And the more I say, the more Manny's going to start doing this. So at your convenience, we can have the update.
I can say with accuracy that the one at Whiting Street is working this afternoon.
Great. So it was an intermittent thing, but instead of expecting people to be, importantly, our motormen do not need to be in the situation where they're dealing with 6,500 people that day to say, oh, well, I know it's working at Whiting, so you owe me, but this one isn't, so you don't owe me. So to just make it easier for everybody, we made it a blanket solution on that. So again.
So now it's still intermittently difficult for people to pay to ride the street.
I think we have potentially 2 TVMs that are not working with the game plan.
And have you put notices on those machines explaining to riders what they need to do instead?
I don't let it
Good.
on the board. I just go ahead and just provide the update. I guess it will clarify a lot of the questions that you have, any type of concerns right now. First of all, Emmanuel Nunez work exclusively with the TVMs. I'm the TVM man here. All right, I'll just throw out some facts. And the facts are, we have 11 TVMs on the streetcar corridor. 2 of those are actually the ones that actually are upgradable, which we already took mitigation to it. We already have them. We are processing right now, making sure that it's able to work in the future to take some credit card transactions in the future. Now, the rest of them are end of life. And that would include, and I'm glad Whiting will actually work, but most of those machines are cash only. The moment there was an upgrade on software payment, it pertains to security in the payment ecosystem. That it caused our machine being so old, for lack of a better word, that they actually cannot process any credit card. So what the company does, the process that they do, they just shut down those machines and make sure that they don't process any type of payments that's going to be insecure in the internet. So we only own cash only. The TVMs are intelligent enough to let the customer know that it's in cash only mode. But yes, it is a nuisance to a lot of people trying to use cash if they don't have it, trying to find some cash. So we have 2 that we could actually work on it. Currently, I have 1 in testing. I'm waiting to actually make sure that the communication works correctly and trying to process it. And this one will be the one by the aquarium. So we have 1 in the aquarium that's almost done. So now, the rest. The plan to tackle all this issue with the TVMs is we have some TVMs that are new. They're currently working. They're taking credit card. They're on another location around town that they're not really selling, and I don't think we're using them correctly, and that's how effectively. So what I did was I drew up a plan just to make sure that we move them to locations that we need them, like we do. We need them on Whiting, Greco, HSBC station. We need Cumberland station. We needed Central Ybor, Centennial. We needed them, all of them. So once we make those moves, we should be able to have those credit cards. Now, my expected date that I have this completed should be February 28th. That's my goal, to have those done on that particular day.
And Manny, let me interrupt quickly, just as a reminder, when we do Gasparilla, we have staff out there with Square devices on their phones. So we do not route people to the ticket vending machine.
Yeah, I was going to say, next week going to be a nightmare.
No, they're yeah.
And the night parade,
I'm glad you that segue, because that was my next point. For that particular day on the Gasparilla, we are having the Square. Last year we did it as a test, as a pilot, and it actually worked out great. We sold all the passes that we had, and I only had a small amount, and it turned out to be about $3,600. And I only had about 3 stations actually. This time I am having about 5 stations covered. I'm including, that would be Centennial, Central Ybor, Streetcar Society, Cadrica, and Greco. So we have everybody taking care of it. So we will have the TVM still selling, cash only, And at the same time, this square will be having to look. I'll be manning one location, and I would have people manning other location. And those credit cards that we'll take will be Amex, will be Visa, MasterCard, and Discover.
And Manny, it
That's
sounds
it.
like if we're not operational by February 13th, that we should get volunteers out for the night parade as well with the square.
That is doable, yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Any question?
No, I'm very sympathetic to it because Mr. Suarez often refers to me as the end of my service life. But still functioning.
You keep getting closer and closer to it, too.
Did you have a point, or is...
Oh, no, I was just restating the obvious.
Mr. English, you are getting to the point of why we always say that to Bob McDonough. So,
Welcome back, I think. Nice to see you again.
well, that's my response. I
Former
think.
board member, future board member. Nice to have you back.
Nice to be back. Seriously.
Good to see your smiling face back here.
Thanks.
Okay, so, and I assume you're putting out notices at these stations for patrons and explaining what the hell is going on, so they don't just think we're stupid.
Yes. Yes, that was,
Please.
we'll use even Twitter, Facebook, let every customer
And
know
at the
that-
station.
At the station also. Yes.
So people-
We'll be uniform and we will let people know that this is happening so they could bring their credit card, not to be scared about it.
Yeah, and it's not possible just to give the conductors a square D so they can do the transaction when somebody comes up.
No. There's a laundry list of things, and when they're operating,
That's
we give them
okay.
a square. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason. I just wanted to hear you say
No,
it.
I think it's
Yeah.
an excellent suggestion, and unfortunately, no.
Good luck. Thank you for your help. Appreciate it. Okay, legal and legislative reports. Mr. Smoker?
No formal report. The only item that I want to bring to the board's attention is that Grant Mielek is here to give us an update on the status of our discussions with the insurance carriers for the CSX policy. So I'd like to defer to Grant, and then after he gives you a summary of where we are, I would like to get the board to approve some parameters for acceptance of the policy. What will happen is it'll be presented to us probably towards the end of January. But we're not going to have another board meeting.
So you and I are going to have to
officially
execute
approve
the
it. So I
contract.
want the board to give us some direction, provide some parameters, so when we receive it, if it meets the parameters, then the president can go ahead and accept it.
Okay. Mr. Melick, nice to see you back.
Happy New Year, directors. How you guys doing?
Good.
All right, a few things as far as an update goes with the insurance. As Dave was saying, what we're doing is we're pretty much done with the renewal. We're close. There's going to be maybe three or four different carriers that are participating in the upper layers. If we recall, the total insurance towers from 0 to 100 million. Price-wise, I think we're looking pretty good. I don't see any shocks. We may have a few good surprises. So for the most part, we're almost there. We just need a little bit more time to put all these puzzle pieces together. I do expect 2 new participants. Right now, the carriers are competing with each other. And at the end, that's only good news for THS.
So are you expecting the annual premiums to go down?
There's a possibility of that. I don't want to... I'll just say this. We're not going to be in a worse position than we were last year.
Okay.
And last year, we did pretty darn good.
Right.
Thank you for that. Spoken like a true insurance agent that's going to get the renewal, I think, is what it is.
Trust me, if these 3 carriers, if I could have the final pricing on it right now, I would share the news. I just don't have that information right now.
You can come back next month to celebrate with us after we've said
That I will do. And actually, Brian from California, our rail expert, he would like to come down and meet with everyone.
Sure.
And again, what we've been able to do is pretty amazing.
Well, good. I think it would be instructive for us to have that presentation. Mr. Suarez?
Aren't you glad I got back on the board just in time? Who's the carrier on the first layer, and how much is the limit on the first layer?
Sure, XL.
Okay.
It's $25 million per occurrence.
Okay.
They are probably going to remain the lead. As you kind of know, the rail markets are somewhat messy right now. Every day we are seeing a new accident, which is bad news in general for the rail markets, but for accounts such as THS, it's actually good news. Part of that is we don't have any claims. It's really kind of deemed a safe risk, and information such as like that disaster recovery that was performed, that kind of thing for risk management. I cannot tell you how critical pieces of information are to us like that. Carriers love that because it shows that we have a proactive risk management program.
Good.
And then the second layer, is it still 50 million, or is it 50x of 25? What's the second layer?
Currently, we do 25, 25, then 50.
Okay, it's the other way around. Okay.
There's going to be a little flip. We're either going to have 4 or 5 carriers right now. It's all dependent on that high 75 excess of 25 layer.
What do you expect the bottom layer to be in terms of premium size? What do you think?
That I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
My hopes are it's going to be a little bit less than last year. Mm-hmm. And as you know, with the tower, the less you can get the rate on the tower, the less it's going to be higher.
Right. Build a good foundation, as they say, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Terrific. What's the deductibles now on our stuff?
$100,000.
100,000, still the same. Okay. All right.
That
Thanks.
is a great insurance agent conversation.
It is.
I can do
You
this all day.
guys cut through this in a
We
hurry.
can probably do this all day. You guys would be asleep.
Yeah, we can sit down in a minute. We'll have a little conversation if you'd like. I don't care either way. Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it.
Okay, chair's report. I really don't have anything to report that I can think of. HART?
Mr. Chairman, I wanted you to go ahead and approve the parameters for your acceptance of the policy once it's offered. Either 4 or 5 layers, no greater, and this would be speaking as a true lawyer, no greater than a 5% increase. Obviously, we'll accept any decrease, and with the policy being $100 million.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Yeah, that's
We have a
reasonable.
motion, a second, and a third. Good. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And I didn't publicly welcome Sean back. He never really went away, but by default, he's back.
So you were gone too?
Yeah, I had conflicts, but I resigned. Remember last year?
Yeah.
I never got replaced by the mayor, so I'm still on the.
So technically, he is still the board member, yes.
So we're really happy he's coming back.
Exactly.
I'm not sure he knows.
He takes his time with those appointments, you know. So
Okay, Ms. Egan, your report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ruthie Reyes Burkhart. We are providing trolleys to transport folks from Sacred Heart back over to the aquarium after the Mass. Is that correct? Are we assisting with
We
transportation?
are transporting just about now to the church for some of the early folks that we're going to travel over there. We have 2 in-towners doing that service for us, and then 1 spare just in case that will overflow. And at 4:45 to 5, we'll be returning them back to the aquarium for those that park there.
So if anyone, like Michael, would walk over, you could take the streetcar into downtown, walk over to Sacred Heart, and the trolley would get you to the aquarium, and you would be back to streetcar to go home.
Nice.
I think Tom is the first person in this community that I met who treated me fully as a peer and a CEO, and it made a big difference to me to be able to deal with him and to work with him. I met him shortly after the board placed me in his interim, and I think he's impacted all our lives, and we're very happy to support.
No, he was a really wonderful man. I know that Rick was a particularly close friend, and I think Bob too. He was just a hell of a guy, and he was cheerful and funny and smart and inclusive and helpful. And if he invited you to lunch, he put on a great lunch at the aquarium. Yes, he was a nice man.
Great lunch. So we are honored to assist. In the interest of time and making sure we have longer to talk about this, we are halfway through the pilot program for the early morning service hours. It is getting stronger and stronger ridership. So if the chair would accept a recommendation, potentially we could convene an ad hoc committee to discuss what are our possibilities to tracking down the additional 150. The HART budget is where the budget is. HART is not going to be able to support the additional 6 months, but I think we discussed that. We have our friends from Elevate here today. Hi, Justin. That's the social media firm that's assisting, and they've been locating some folks who would like to participate, not doing advertising, but some level of sponsorship of service, so we have those leads. But I would recommend that we pull together an ad hoc pretty quickly to talk about next steps and what the options are to get the funding, now that we have some ridership numbers to show the utility of the service.
Oh, I think we should. Bob, well, I haven't seen you for a couple of months, but you were going to check with parking to see if they had ever...
yeah, I did. He said they had an initial conversation and they were expecting a phone call back and had not gotten one. So.
Okay, I think we actually have tried to get that guy, but we'll follow up on that. Do you have the ridership numbers? I mean, I'd really like to know how we're doing. What how significant that morning ridership is. I've talked to a couple of conductors when I use it who tell me that they're developing a following of people who come and go on it every day, use it instead of their car. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's really important, and I'm kind of talking to you, Bob, because we may need to ask the city for some help to continue this service. It's really made a big difference to our system, to the public relations that we're getting, to the public approval ratings we're getting about the streetcar. It's something that we took a chance on, and I think it's working anyway. So,
in your board packet on page 5-1, it'll show the incremental trips since we started.
And so what this is capturing then, Steve, is the ridership before noon.
Yes.
But it's not reflecting the ridership on, because these folks clearly are coming home. So we're tracking what's happening in the first 5 hours of the day. We don't have numbers saying how many, what the impact of the overall ridership is bringing up. But these are, look at the week, Christmas week, 1,200 trips within that week. So an average of 600 trips, and what we also hear from the motormen and the one motormate, the few motormates, we have several motormates now, mm-hmm. is that the ridership is increasing and they're seeing the same faces pretty regularly.
Okay, so who would like to volunteer to be on this ad hoc committee? Nikki?
What are you on?
And I will too.
Great.
And I think I would really like to keep Bob apprised of what we're thinking and what we're hoping we can make happen. I would just hate to shut this down because I think it's been really useful. I mean, that's an extra 600 people a week is pretty significant in our system. It's damn near a 50% increase in our daily ridership.
It is, and when you average it out, that's over 100 trips a day in the morning.
Yeah.
And presuming those folks aren't doing a round trip before noon, then we're picking up some additional ridership as well. So 100 trips in the morning is maybe 10 patrons per car.
Yeah.
At a minimum.
Okay.
It's a great way to go to board meetings and committee meetings here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And Mickey's very happy.
Yes, it is.
So we'll be in touch shortly to get the ad hoc arranged. And I use the streetcar to go to the State of the Port event today.
Yeah. Let's get together next week early as we can.
We'll do that. Thank you. And we'll also include our friends from Elevate. So, Justin, you guys
can let our other board members know, by the way, that this is happening. You're all free to attend. I know you're busy totally. If you have time and are interested, if you want to learn about it, you're welcome to come. Mr. Suarez has an interest in everything to do with transportation. So let the whole board know, but you've got your core.
Yes, sir. And then the two final items. Gasparilla is upon us yet again, and it is nice to say that we have a great operational plan ready to go and plug and play. The first few years are a little rough, but again, we will have the volunteers out there with the square to help expedite the boarding. We will have additional volunteers on the streetcars to help with the loading and getting folks off and on safely. And our standard schedule of starting a little earlier, saturating with service midday, adding our shuttles in for the stations which are overloaded. So folks who go out to a station and they're just not going to get a streetcar. It's full when it comes here, etc. We'll have the bus shuttles, and we will continue the messaging that inbound, if you want a streetcar, Centennial or Centro is probably your best bet. But once you come to Streetcar Society or Kadrisha, you're probably going to end up on a bus. Manage the expectations on that.
I know that in years past, you weren't really running a lot of our streetcars because they weren't operational. Has that changed? Are you going to be running more of them?
I think we were able for Gasparilla most years to get at least 6 cars. Let us come back to an email notification because I don't know off the top of my head what the fleet is, but the fleet may be 100% ready, aside from the Bernie, which of course has the constraints and is not, it's not ADA. And we typically don't bring the breezer out for Gasparilla because in the evening, what could go wrong? But for the rest of the streetcars,
Drums falling off and
just a thing. But I believe our other, I think we might be up to full 8 streetcars, which are a potential for us to get into service.
We are, but typically due to where we have the breaks in the system where we have to pass each other, we try to keep it at a maximum of 6 at a time, which makes it a 10-minute frequency. And there is where we supplement with the buses to pick up the exit.
That makes sense.
Now at Streetcar Fest this year, we tried double headers, which were the 2 streetcars traveling together. It did not work out well for us. It didn't give us a double set of cars. It took us to 2 cars every 20 minutes. And when they bogged down, we had folks waiting 45 minutes. So we will go back to running the single cars every 10 minutes, ideally.
Okay.
So ready for success for Gasparilla, and then for our next board meeting, we will put on the agenda a briefing on the safety program that we have for Streetcar. It is significantly more robust than what is on bus, simply because there's just a lot more moving parts to go on with rail safety. Chester Simon's our rail safety specialist. He's been in this role for about 2 years, and his brain is really full. So let us give you an overview of all the things going on, how we're interfacing with the city of Tampa to make sure that we continue to be very safe, and how this extra level of vigilance is impacting service. So we'll get that for a future agenda.
Okay, great.
And I'm
yeah,
done.
Next month would be great.
Yes, sir.
Is that good? Are you good?
Yes, sir.
Direct media sales report. Lori Gage is here. You never know.
Good afternoon.
Who's going to pop up?
Yes, Lori Gage, Direct Media, the market manager here in Tampa. And I thought I would just give a quick summary of the program. We started back in 2012, and we paid you, your cut was $1,041. The next year, it was $66,985. That's when Anheuser-Busch came on board. We grew it a little further the following 2014 to $74. 2015, we lost Anheuser-Busch, and we dropped to $32,310. We picked up Miller Coors with their annual deals. It's only half the size as the Anheuser-Busch. And then this year, we are at, 2016, we're at $52,500. So we still managed to grow that a little bit. And I don't think that number includes the NCAA, which was a paid program. We had 3 full reps for the football game. So that was a lot of fun. And the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, told me that they enjoyed working with us and hope to do it for other types of events that they're involved in.
Excellent.
Okay.
Any questions?
Very good.
It's a big improvement over 5 years ago. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hufstadler, I understand we do not have an action item. You're not quite ready for that, but you do want to speak to us briefly.
Yes, sir. Honorable Chair, board members. For the record, I'm City of Tampa Chief Accountant Lee Hufstadler. As you know, we handle the books for the Streetcar, and you may be accustomed to seeing Ewan Lee here. She's the accountant, too, in my office who actually does the work. She's back at home doing the work, so she sent me today. We did think that we would be ready today, but we are not, so I would respectfully ask that we remove this action item. But while I'm here, I'd like to take the opportunity to just brief you where we are. We've hired new auditors this year competitively. You may recall in prior years we had Crowe Horwath. This year we have new to us RSM. And another issue that we're wrapping our heads around is Crowe had what they called an entrance and an exit methodology. They would come to the board and they would say, we're entering this season. And then when they got ready to leave, they would say, we were exiting. And they would not release their opinion letters until we had held that exit meeting. And then we would come back to you. So it made the timing of bringing the statements to you not ideal, but okay. Well, RSM doesn't have this entrance-exit methodology. It's my understanding that CPA firms there's no hard and fast rule of how they do it, so they have not held an entrance meeting with you. And I will bring them with me next month when we come in case they consider that their exit interview for some reason, but they have not told me that they will or won't be here. But we were hoping to have the audit done today, and they would have been here, and we would have had their opinion letters, and everything would have been fine. So now, as it stands, we'll bring it back next month. But in the meantime, you do have the statements in front of you. They are done as far as we're concerned. Ewan has done a great job. If you do read them and have any comments, as always, please send them our way, and we'll make corrections as you see fit. But I just wanted to say a few things about the results on a high level. On page 3, you'll read that it says, it asks the questions, is the Streetcar doing better or worse? And I will say that the Streetcar is doing better over the last few years. The fares have been flat, $566,000 this year, $565,000 last year, so it's been flat. But, of course, the non-ad valorem assessment is up. It's up 25% this year, $130,000. It's at $647,000 this year compared to $516,000 last year. So the assessment is definitely up. And as downtown and the district continue to grow, we suspect those numbers will continue to grow as well. The cash balances are up. Some of you may recall a couple years ago, the cash was a little thin. We were down to $16,000 at one time. But I'm here to tell you it's at $400,000. So compared to last year, it was at $266,000. It's at $400,000. So that's good news. Lori and Steve have done a great job. Advertising revenues are up 33%. I've got them grossed at $90,000 this year compared to gross $68,000 last year. So that's a good thing. And let's see, the CRAs are continuing to contribute their $450,000. HART continues to contribute the $300,000 grants. The city has been contributing. The city of Tampa contributed $46,000 this year and $148,000 last year. And then, of course, you heard from Grant that the CXX insurance is down. I've got it at $344,000 this year compared to $360,000 last year. And, of course, we expect it to go down even more. So I think the streetcar is doing better. And with that, I'll entertain any questions, or I look forward to any comments that you may have before we bring it back to you next month.
Any questions, anyone? Thank you, Lee. We'll look forward to seeing you next month. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done. Compliance reports, marketing report, Mr. Rosenstock, anything in particular you want to, I know you've been busy with banners, college football playoff.
Yeah, we're just excited that we wrapped the pillars downtown by the convention center because it will probably bring some new revenue in. So people will see opportunities, and we're going to keep that up for a few months.
Good, thanks. And ridership fare special extra fare report. Mr. Seward isn't here. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none. Old business, new business. I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair.